Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Cornbeaner. Today is February 21st, 2013. I'm sorry I'm a whole day behind this news, and sorry for the makeshift poster. The new lens is allowing for more viewing angles, so I'm trying to snazz the place up a little bit. I promise that I'll try to get all this bootleg stuff out of the way. Please bear with me and the ugliness, but let's get started. Yesterday was Sony's meeting day 2013 PlayStation meeting. I really don't even know what the hell the title of the actual event was, but basically what it was a coming out party for the PS4. The PlayStation 4, everybody, is about to release this year. That's all that we know about the release date. When they first announced it, of course, they announced the specs. Sony seems to have gone away from what they used to do, try to overcomplicate their own goodness, always saying that they can reach a Toy Story caliber of graphics or this and that. They did it with the PlayStation 2 and the Emotion engine. They did it with the PlayStation 3 and the cell processor. You know, they oversold these products, and unfortunately with the cell processor, it finally came back to bite them in the ass because the cell was not as good as they promised. They still delivered great games. Uncharted, Metal Gear Solid 4, yes, but those were the exceptions and not the rule, unfortunately. And it seems Sony has learned their lesson. So what they announced was that they are going to pretty much have a supercharged computer. The processor they're going to use is an x86 processor, which is basically just a common PC processor. They also said they were going to use a GPU in tandem with the CPU. 8 gigabytes of unified RAM, meaning that both the CPU and GPU would be able to use that same 8 gigabyte pool of memory, which is actually a better architecture than they had with the PlayStation 3 that only had 512 megs of RAM, but that was split. You can only use half for the processor, half for the graphics card. And of course it's going to come with the hard drive. The size of the hard drive is yet unknown. But the thing that struck me curious was when they were announcing the specs for the PlayStation 4, they said they would have a CPU and a GPU. And they actually, said it was two separate things. Later on, they were talking about the power and the specs of the PlayStation. They came out to say that the benefits of having the CPU and APU on the same die size, and they went on from there. And to me it struck as they're going to be using an APU, an all-purpose unit, an all-purpose processor. Those right now are commonly built by AMD, and as of this morning, AMD actually confirmed via their Facebook page that they are building a semi-custom APU processor in collaboration with Sony to power the PlayStation 4. So they're not going to be using a CPU and GPU, they're actually going to be using an APU. So whether or not they wind up teaming that APU up with another graphics card has yet to be seen. It wouldn't be too surprising to actually see that happen, as AMD's APUs are known to actually be able to collaborate with some of the lower end to mid-level video cards, meaning that in theory, if they use an APU and a GPU in tandem, you technically have the power of two graphics processors in one processor. I don't think it's actually going to happen. I think they might just stick strictly with the APU for cost reasons. The 8 gigabytes of unified RAM to me is a great number. You could always do a lot more with a lot less when it comes to consoles. I mean, just look at the Xbox, look at the PlayStation. Those systems only have 512 megabytes of RAM, not even 1 gig. Try to boot up a computer with that much RAM, it's impossible, much less running a game with those specs. So moving away from the actual specs, the next thing they brought up was the controller, and this is what it looks like. As you can see here, it looks like it kind of squared it out a little bit more. The grips on the DualShock 4, as they're calling it, seem to be more rounded, to be able to fit into the palm of your hands better. The top seems to be more squared away. It's weird, like it's the same DualShock design but just like re-modified for I guess the gamer's growing hands, because when the original DualShock came out, or actually for that matter the original PlayStation controller, the design really hasn't changed. The only design differences from the original PlayStation controller to the DualShock 3 have been the addition of the 6-axis and the fact that the L2 and R2 are now stupidly configured to be like pedals. Now, but other than that, nothing really actually changed. But with this one, it seems that they squared away the top a little bit more to actually allow you to press those buttons fairly easier, maybe let you rest your fingers on them without accidentally touching them, and allowing for that quick response that some gamers might like. They also added a touchpad to the very top of it, similar to the touchpad in the back of the Vita. What that's actually going to be used for as far as gaming, who knows. The controller D-pad and the control face button seem to have been a bit maybe raised a little bit or squared. It's kind of weird. Like I can't get my hands on it, and I'm hoping I can get my hands on it at E3 to give you guys a better understanding of what I feel the controller feels like, if that makes any sense. I feel like they're more squared away, more elevated. It's a weird thing for me to kind of explain right now. The DualShock, the analog sticks on the DualShock 4 also seem to have a little pit right in the middle, so you can actually rest your thumbs on that, so it's not actually elevated like a outside, like the bottom of a spoon. It's more like the inside of a spoon now. The top of the controller actually has a color indicator to determine the player's number. I actually think it's more confusing to the end user to have color on top to determine what player that user actually is, because then you have to actually remember the colors. Who's player one? Is it blue, red, green, whatever? If it's unified, maybe with time, but I had no problem with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, you know, the numbering system on the top. But the one thing that struck me with this controller is now it has that move type color on the top. They also announced a sensor bar. It looks like a cross between the Kinect and the Wii U sensor bar. I really don't know what I feel about that. It was explained to us through the press conference that that sensor will be used to to further enhance movement and to detect this and to detect other things. Unless I can use that sensor bar in tandem with my Move, I'm not really too sold on it. I really don't need another Wii controller in the house. The Move is enough. The Wii controller is enough. I don't need my DualShock 4 to work like my Move, because then that just makes it obsolete, and I don't need it to work like my Wii. But we'll see as the date comes on. As the conference kept going, they got to the game. Some of my favorite games, and these are the ones I'm just going to kind of give you a heads up on. I mean, first and foremost, Guerrilla Games, the developer behind Killzone 2, Killzone 3, pretty much all the Killzones on the consoles, announced Killzone 4, Shadow Falls. I gotta say that I gotta get that out of my chest first. The guy playing the game sucked. That's just a given. But the game itself looked gorgeous. In my opinion, the actual shock of seeing the game was a lot less grand than that of Killzone 3. But I think what we saw on screen for Killzone 4 is an actual product. The product shown for Killzone 3 at the very beginning of like 2005 E3 wasn't real. The demo they showed for Killzone 4 was real. Had a guy playing it in the outside world. The thing is, it looks like Killzone 3, like that teaser intro from 2005, but it looks it in the grander scale. In Killzone 3, you were pretty much tied to a box. Killzone 4, it's you guys gotta watch the video. The world that they explore in this demonstration is massive, and it looks freaking unbelievable. It's simply gorgeous. The other thing that actually took me by surprise was Evolution Studios, the developer behind MotorStorm series. They're actually making a new game called Drive Club, and it seems to be like a racing type MMO. I mean, that's the way I'm gonna classify it. It looks like a racing type MMO, you know. But the way they were showing the cars and the details and just the way that the painstakingly absurd amount of detail that they show in this car and the cars that you race in this game, it looks outstanding. For me, I'm interested to see what it has to bring to the table, but as far as me playing it, it's just not my thing. You know, I gotta be honest, I'm not a big MMO player. I like playing multiplayer games, but I'm not into MMOs. It becomes a second job, especially for people who take that stuff too serious. It becomes a second job. You're gonna be on today, you're gonna be on today. I don't need that. I play to let out frustration and probably get a little bit more frustrated, but you know, within my little world, I don't need to be immersed in other people's world, and that's just me, but the game does look very interesting. And the game that I'm hoping makes launch is Ubisoft's Watch Dogs. If you see the video, you might think, oh, it's stupid. Basically, it's a dude, the PDA, who has the ability to hack ATMs, take money from whoever, but at the same time, stop crime with it. It's able to give out the signals of distress, of anger, and it allows for this guy to be like the ultimate badass vigilante. That's a poor way of explaining it, but I will link to everything that I talk about down below. Most of the stuff can be found actually on the US PlayStation blog site, and I will link to that that down below. The other notable things to actually mention is Sucker Punch's Infamous Second Son, which seems to be an expansion of the Infamous franchise. Media Molecule, the makers of Little Big Planet, also came out and had their little project come out, and it looks pretty insane. But you know what, I've never been the creative type to actually take advantage of what Media Molecule has to offer. For those who love to mod games, hey, you guys are going to have something else to do, because it looks amazing as far as what they're able to do. And just to end this before I make this video way too damn long, because I am super excited, it is coming out holidays 2013, so we'll be out by the end of this year, most likely in Japan and US first. I'm sorry for the European cats. I'm pretty sure, and this is just my personal speculation, that you guys will be waiting until at least early 2014. That just seems to always be the case. But if you guys, hopefully you guys will get it in 2013, because I know in Europe, just as I am here, you guys are super excited about the announcements and are waiting to get yourself a PS4. No actual price was actually unveiled at this unveiling of the PlayStation 4, and the console itself, there was no console shown. I believe the console will actually be shown either next month at GDC, or maybe have the big unveiling during the big press conference at E3, which seems to be the customary place to actually unveil what a finished product looks like. Hey, but other than that, if you guys have any questions, or if you guys just want to browse the internet, the PlayStation 4 is out. Feel free to ask, comment down below of anything that you guys might have a question for, that we can keep the discussion going. I'm super excited. I'm a big Sony fan. I have a Vita, I have PlayStation 3, I've owned, tons of Sony products throughout the years, and I'm super excited. So, holidays 2013 can't come soon enough. Gotta get my money ready, and I gotta get ready to camp out again. And but yeah, this has been Cornbeaner, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.